Davies in the middle. Checks back against Carter and scores. That is atypical for the Amina goal.
Quickly gets it back again. Oh, what a goal! Well, that sums up her season. The Gunners are WSL champions.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to yet another Vic Akers Wonderland podcast with me, Adam Salter. And we are going to be picking over today Bristol City versus Arsenal. But I'm not alone. I am once again joined by my conspirators in charge, my partners in crime, my amazing co-host, that is the magnificent Matt and the lovely Lottie. Lottie, how are things?
Yeah, they're good. They're good. Been a bit manic with work and stuff. The weather's been crap, but and it's the international break, so there's no way better to sum it up than that, to be honest. How are you, mate?
Pretty good. It is the interlull, as you say. We are missing the WSL, but that's why we're going to be going back over our last WSL outing, which I think because it maybe was mixed in terms of maybe our expectations. Matt, how are things going for you at the moment?
Yeah, things are good. Bit of a break from work and everything because of the half term, but I'm looking forward to talking to you both as always on the Friday nights and talking all about the women in general.
We should just say, by the time you are watching / listening to this, England will have absolutely thrashed Belgium / been held to a tense draw / shoveled a shock defeat, delete as appropriate. So if you're wondering why we're not discussing that, it's because we actually recorded this pre-kickoff. So no, we're not going to be talking about the England result. We will be talking about Arsenal, and that was their trip to Bristol City on the Sunday at a glorious late kickoff, 18:45. Thank you very much, Sky. So going into the game, we obviously did the preview with our thoughts. I was predicting an absolute battering. I was wrong. Did anybody predict a 2-1 win, perchance? Did anyone go think it was going to be a close? You had a 3-2?
I had 3-1.
3-1. Oh, Matt was probably maybe close on that one. It was tighter than we'd hoped. 2-1. McCabe with 2 goals. He's now, I think, a top scorer of the season, or joint top scorer. Same with WSL's top. 2 worldies. Her first one, a particularly special hit, I must say. Rachel Furness responding for Bristol City. Go over the top of the lineups. Obviously, Manu in goal. No surprise there. I think we thought maybe Sabrina might come in, but it was obviously Manu. Catley left back. Maritz at the right. Wibbermoy and Kadina coming in. I think it was her second start of the season at left centre back. And then, as Jonas likes to do, he throws a curveball. I predicted the lineup and I got it wrong. I thought this was going to be a midfield 2 of Palova and of Little and Volti. I was wrong. It was Palova and Volti. Little was moved to 10. Ford left, McCabe right, Russo up top. Matt, I'm going to come to you first. Kadina in defence. Surprised or pleased to see her have a go at the left side as centre back?
That one's difficult in itself because we were, I think originally Amanda was in the squad for that, and then last minute was pulled out. We don't know exactly what's happened. We're just going to throw our hands up out already. She was meant to go over to Sweden. She's not been, she's been told to stay away. So hopefully she's okay, and most importantly, but when it comes to that other centre back spot, I think it's going to be difficult to pin down who's definitely going to get it, because at the moment it's a toss up between 3 players: Jem Beattie, Leah Kadina, and Amanda Lichtet. I'm more confident with Amanda at the moment. I know she's not hit the ground running a little bit, but with Leah Kadina, it's very much she doesn't have the experience that Amanda has. In comparison, I know there's only 4 years difference between both of them, but just with Leia, if she's going to be aggressive in the challenges and things like that, all it takes is just a challenge on a Sam Kerr or a Fran Kirby against Chelsea, and they'll fall to the floor and it'll be a penalty. That is the one thing that I kind of hope that doesn't happen or wasn't going to happen in this game.
Yeah,
and
we will get into her performance in the game because I think there is a fair amount to unpick. Interesting also, McCabe, big left-footed winger. We usually see her on the left wing, left back. This time she was on the right. Lottie, were you happy seeing McCabe over the right back, or right wing rather, or do you think maybe that might have actually inhibited some of her talents?
No, I mean, she can play on the left, she can play on the right. She's here, she's there, she's everywhere. No, I'm quite happy with that because we all know, as much as we all enjoy Caitlin Ford, she can't play on the right for Toffee.
No, Ford can't.
We have to have her on the left side. So it's kind of a blessing in disguise. She can play on the right, and we're seeing it a bit more. I'm quite happy for her to be there. My next question is, can she play right back?
Well, this is one of the questions.
Put it to the test and just utilise her. We
did play her as right back against Manchester United right at the end when we were were shuffling players around. We did experiment that briefly. I'm going to come on to Ford in a bit because there was something special about that. But my question is, where is Chloe Lacasse? That's one of the big questions on social media. A lot of love for Lacasse after her worldie against Manchester United. Should she be starting on the right? Could McCabe start on the left instead of Ford? Maybe it's just interesting that we are sort of putting McCabe there on the right when we brought in Lacasse as an alternative to Mead, and she didn't even come on in this particular game. Speaking of Ford, 100 Arsenal appearances for our lover of Vegemite. So I thought a question for the pair of you. Lottie, I'm going to come back to you for this one. What is your favourite Ford moment at Arsenal? 100 appearances for the club.
Oh God, it's got to be any form of Tottenham goal.
There are many to pick,
regardless what it is.
There are many to pick from.
God, it's gonna have to be the one where we were all sitting together in the up in block 13, and that's Summers, you, me, G, Jonesy. Yeah, it's got to be that one. When we were all sitting in the North Bank. You were in the row behind, and then we were in the row in front of you guys. Just you actually, Adam. Sorry. But yeah, no, that was a really good day. I really enjoyed that. We had goals from Beth Mead, I think Viv.
Oh no, Ford didn't score. No, Ford didn't score now. That was the Haffer, Viv, Brace, Beth. No, it was the Ford brace was the season before and then they missed a penalty at the end. But yeah, there was Matt smiling. You know that one. Yeah, she got a great. But the goal you mean. It was a great curler. She took it on the counter and bent it in the top bins. Yeah.
Still a Tottenham Hotspur game. So
a battering against Spurs is a battering against Spurs. It doesn't matter what season it is.
Yeah, the Emirates with a record crowd. Happy days.
Even better. Matt, what's your offering?
I think I know what goal Lottie's actually referring to, because there's been a couple of times where Caitlin Ford has been on the edge of the box against Tottenham or inside the box. No pressure, all the time in the world. She goes, okay, I'll just just curl it right into the top corner or around the goalkeeper and into the back of the net. She's been fantastic at that. If I had to, I don't think anything other. I think Adam, you were there that night against Leon. I think she had a really good game that night.
Oh, the away match.
Yeah,
I wasn't there. I was watching it from my hotel room and very much enjoying it. But that the second goal I think she got when the misplaced pass.
I think she slid in, didn't she? I think it was Beth.
The first, yes. So Beth, for the first goal, Beth crossed and it was a tap in. The second one was just sublime. It was, I think they misplaced the ball across the defence and she just one touch and then bottom corner. If it were me, I would go for another Spurs goal, but it's away at Spurs. It was the one last season at Brisbane Road when she just ran it from the inside and then just thought, you're going to back off from me? All right, I'll just bury it in the bottom corner. For some reason, she loves scoring against Spurs, and I am all here for it. So thank you very much for
definitely, especially when we've got them back to back in a couple of weeks.
Absolutely.
So
hopefully she's fit and firing and on form, ready for that one.
Definitely. And sorry, Adam. I think one of my other favourite moments is all the social media content around Kyra Cooney Cross. I think the tweet of the year for me is Caitlin was doing her video for 100 games for us. And then you got Kyra jumping in the back with her thumbs up, and it was really cute. And I think she quoted it, "Thanks, Steph, getting me the little sister I never wanted."
Well,
I think that's tweet of the year from the Arsenal.
Absolutely, and you mentioned Kyra coming across. Sadly, she didn't play in this particular game, but obviously Conti Cup's coming up after the international break. There'll be rotation. Hopefully, we will see our little Aussie superstar have a turn there. One of the big shocks of the lineup was actually the kit they were wearing. There was a lot of talk that we were going to be, I think, wearing the green kit for the match, and we weren't. We ended up playing the Stella McCartney special. Now, while the players are obviously wearing it, most of us won't be. Arsenal have announced that you can no longer buy the special Stella McCartney exclusive away strip for the women's team anymore. It was a limited run. It was what we expected. Lottie, did you manage to snag one in time?
I didn't have to snag one. I got one for my birthday, so I'm pretty cushy. I've got all 4 kits this year. They've mainly belonged to the girls, apart from maybe one. I've got Russo, I've got Cooney Cross, and I have Frida Leonardson Mornham as well. And then, of course, I've got my I like a religion every home season. I have Smith Rowe on the other shirt, so without fail.
But are you disappointed that it is such a limited release?
No, the thing is, I knew it was going to be a limited kit. It's Stella McCartney. The fan base is there for it. It's going to go. And Arsenal were testing the waters to see if this could be a regular thing, and I think it should be. Not so much for me for the home kits, but the away kits, I do feel they should be different.
Yeah.
Because we are part of the same club, but we're also slightly a different branch of it, if that makes sense. I'm just relieved I don't have to look at a tennis ball kit for the
I was going to say,
season.
It says something when our away kit's better than their one.
Yeah, it is. Oh, it is. It looks so much better on. I mean, I think my men's away kit's got Trossard on the back. It looks good, but I'm like, am I going to wear this? Probably not. I'll get more wears out of the Stella McCartney shirt. I can promise you that.
Matt, with the Stella special, let's say hypothetically we do it again, and I hope we do it again for next season. Hopefully, collaborate again. Could you see it getting maybe a bigger release next time around, and a proper full release like the away other kits, and maybe get even more interest?
Yeah, that would be good. And also just the fact that you're seeing things on, videos online, on all sorts of social media. People are saying, why can't you release this a little bit more? You've got a fan base. I think the problem was when it was originally leaked, in air quotes for those listening on audio, it didn't look very good, did it? And then when you actually see it, in the flesh, it actually looks really nice.
It looks better on than it does on the hang. I'll put it that way.
Yeah. And I think that's what a lot of people drawn more into it, and that's kind of why people are like, oh, I won't get it. You can't even get it on Adidas anymore. That's how even in the I think it's the more the authentic one, you can't even get it in that. That is completely sold out, which is a huge thing to do. But to do this next season, I'd be happy for that, because it also means that the club shop have to then divert more attention on the women as well. It's not just like, oh, you got your home away, everyone's all the same. Just on this as well, because obviously goalkeepers union and all that. The goalkeepers haven't been the goalkeeper shirts have had a limited reduced shirts, and you can't get them anywhere now, and it is becoming a problem. I know the supporters club are trying to work to try and get something in the works to try and be like, can we get some more of this kit in? I know that there's going to be a demand for the goalkeepers kit because it is quite nice, but it would be nice to be able to have like all the kits available, like come the start of the new season. Like let's say for example, first game of the season, home to Bristol City at the Emirates again. Let's say all the kits are already done and dusted. You can go into the Armory or any of the local shops in and around the stadium, and you can get your shirt and your names, numbers, and whoever you want on the shirt. If you, whether it's Jen, Leah, Laura, any of the Leahs really.
We've got plenty to
Any of
choose
the
from.
LWs.
Any
Yeah.
of the LWs, plenty of LWs to pick from.
Oh, I've had a little bird. Someone I know very well. Can't be revealing who it is, I'm afraid.
Oh,
But
is this a Vic Akers?
sooner rather than later, as Arsenal women fans, we will soon be able to personalise our Arsenal shirts
Yeah.
in the WSL font.
Ah, okay.
That'd be good.
So it won't just be restricted to players.
Yeah.
I
Oh.
don't know when this is happening, but I know it's happening soon.
I'll have just a quick one. I know, Adam, I know you want to quickly go. So I've got my Amanda shirt at the game against Villa. After the game, they nearly put Katie McCabe's name and number on the back. I had to turn around and say to look. I pointed at Amanda on the because they had a spreadsheet of you haven't got these available in the cup funds. And for whatever reason, Katie McCabe was still available, which is bizarre in the first place because A, she's on loan to Bristol, and B, she's not going to she's a goalkeeper as well. So it's a bit of a bizarre situation, but again, also kind of makes you wonder: would you have Zinsberger on like a Arsenal home shirt?
I'd have it on a keeper's jumper. Keeper's top. I wouldn't
Yeah,
have it on a strip.
It does make you wonder. But
I've always found the whole font thing weird, but I get that it comes in a fixed or tape thing. But it's like you've got the letters. I don't know. I mean, I'm speaking for ignorance. I don't know the process, and there are people who do know who I should probably ask. But you have the letters that you make the names. Just take those and make the name that you need. I'm sure there's a process that has to be followed. I don't know what that process is, but I'm glad that
it's cheaper and easier to order them as set words rather than individual letters, because when you have individual letters, the individual letters go very quickly. It's a bit like you could have done Cooney Cross out of all the letters in the team, but they wouldn't do it because it uses up letters for other players. So it's easier just to have it in a template. Straight on, measure it, done.
Well, I'm glad they are bringing in letters, cup font letters. I remember there's always been debate over you can get the players, but you can only get them in like not the cup font, but only some other fonts. And if you want your own players, you have to get the Premier League font, which is always madness. So good by Arsenal. I'm glad that's happened through. I don't know how long it's going to take, but that's really, really good news.
Can we just make it really clear that Premier League font on the women's shirt is criminal? Don't do it.
Well, can we
Don't do it. It looks terrible.
Can we get WSL font?
Yeah, WSL font's fine. No.
For like Saka in WSL font.
No, that's just ours. No, that's wrong. I know I'm going to see a lot of it when this all changes, but no, don't do that to me. My eyes burn looking at Prem font with Russo on it. It's criminal. If you really want to get your shirt printed and you want the women's name on it, wait till you come to the Armoury, get it done. £16, done. Don't order it from Sports Direct and get the Premier League font. It's criminal and it's a waste of money and it reduces the value of your shirt. I can guarantee you that.
That's the other thing.
If you were going to resell.
Excuse me, my signal went and gone. Apologies for everyone. They've reduced the pricing of it. It used to be like £24 altogether, and now it's £16. That's actually gone really well.
No, it depends on. It used to be per letter, but now, now it's per name, basically.
Cool. Good. Well, that's positive news for Arsenal on the shirt front. Positive news for Arsenal on the football front. McCabe has not forgotten the art of scoring a worldie from 20 to 30 yards, which came in very handy in the 7th minute. Corner for Arsenal, headed clear. McCabe, one touch. Lottie, she only scores bangers.
Katie scores bangers everywhere she goes. Katie scores bangers everywhere she goes. Yeah, she seems like she was the only one who wanted to score at that point. We just like keep walking it in. Katie thought, sod this. 1, 2, boom, done. Cracking goal as always. I was again in the Tollington, and my usual haunt when I'm watching the games I can't get to. They had no running water, but they stayed open so we could watch the game. So that was interesting to say the least. Thankfully, it's all sorted now, and everything is running up for the Sheffield game. Yeah, tomorrow. So there's nothing to worry about. But yeah, no, just really, really wicked goal. For glad someone wants to actually take a shot, because it was the same old thing that we used to see in the men's. They just want to walk it in and not take a shot.
It's like the IT crowding, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's a teeth grinding thing. And like, come on, you've done better than this before. I know we haven't come up against these guys before. You've got a goalkeeper in goal, having her first WSL appearance for her club, and she's the third keeper because as their first goalkeeper is injured. Marquise can't play against her because we're a parent club, and then you've got the third keeper. I don't think she did a bad job, if I'm honest with you. But you're not going to stop. You're not going to stop Katie McCabe. I mean, Matt, would you stop any of those shots as a goalkeeper?
From Katie, I think my wrist would be broken in half. Honestly, the one thing that always does annoy me is that they don't close down. Bristol did try and close it down, but by the time that she took that shot, it rocketed it straight into the top corner. There's no way you're going to save that.
I thought it was a fantastic goal, and what I love is the reverse action. It's a cross into the opposite corner from where she struck, which I think always looks a bit better. It's one of those, when you watch it happen on TV, you can see the trajectory and think, actually, hang on, I think she's done it here, and it nestles in the top, and it's a thing of beauty. An absolute howitzer. 7 minutes in, earliest goal I think we scored so far this season, which is saying much because we're so used to them being, 7 minutes from the end, but now this is 7 minutes from the start, which is a nice change of pace. So I'm thinking, excellent, we're on a roll here. Let the goals flow. Matt, it didn't really work like that. Bristol equalised.
Yeah, I've just thought of a really good. I think at the moment in that away shirt we have scored a couple of bangers. Chloe's got goal of the month, contender, as well as Katie in this, and I think there is something special about that shirt. I don't know what Stella's done with it, but again, Arsenal. I think this is the first time in WSL this season that we've gone in front. Actually, no, I lie. Manchester United.
We went in front against Aston Villa right at the end as well.
But I know it's a really bad anecdote, but you're more vulnerable when you go in front than you are. And
yes,
essentially, it's a fantastic ball. Don't get me wrong, but there is a clear miscommunication because everyone at that moment. You look at it from the aerial shot, it looks fine, but no one realizes, or no one from the midfield has come with Rachel Furness to make sure and no one's given them a heads up or anything, and that's what the concern is. That there needs to be that communication. It'll come, but I'm glad that these sort of issues are happening at the start of the season rather towards the end, when potentially that could be the WSL off the line, that could be the FA Cup, that could be the Conti Cup, that could be I nearly said Champions League. I know we're not in it, but let's say that we're
Champions
still
League qualification. Could be
that could have been Champions League qualification gone.
Yeah,
I'd rather the mistakes be done now. They can get organised. By the time it comes to December, they have the break and come back in January. Hopefully that'll all be redone and restarted.
We should say that for the goal, it's a cross on the left. Kadina in the box doesn't. I think for me, she's ball watching. Feet are on the ground. She's eyes on the ball. Not aware that Rachel Furness is steaming in. You're saying about midfield trackers. Nobody has prevented that run from happening in the first place. Rachel Furness, very experienced midfielder. Stalwart of WSL. I think she was playing at Liverpool at one point.
Yes.
Yeah, and I think maybe might have had to spell at Spurs as well. Runs onto it, brilliant header. No chance of Manu. Literally inside netting, far post, brilliantly placed header. It was Bristol's only shot on target. Bristol's only shot at all in the entire game. It was the one moment of threat they had in the entire 90 plus minutes, and they scored from it. And it's the frustration of we're not giving the opposition many chances, but the chances that they're getting, they're scoring. There's a real mismatch between efforts and goals. We should say the XG for the game, Bristol had 0.2. That 0.2 was Rachel Furness's goal. We had 2.4 to cover everything else that we did. So there's a real frustration that there is a high, there's a real anti-XG in our defence, that we are conceding way more than what our defence should be giving away. But it was 1-1, and I think it put the brakes on us, rather, because I don't know what you, Lottie, I kind of felt that we kind of sort of stopped until half time.
Yeah, we kind of just sat back and we needed to sort of like regroup, which we did at half time. I don't know, they just took the foot off the gas and he started plodding along, and I was like, come on, it's still the rest of this half, you got another half to play. What are you doing? But yeah, no, as soon as I was kind of relieved to see half time arrive, because I felt like they were out of ideas. For me personally, I didn't know where to go, and then yeah. It was relieved to see half time, as I said.
It did seem to me we sort of very much sort of slowed up. Obviously, Bristol they lined up in a 4-5-1 as we expect, low block deep, try and see it out, and of course we'd given the opposition something to defend. That's another clean sheet gone. We haven't kept a clean sheet in the league since the Leicester game last season, which keeps coming up, but it's the last time we actually have a clean sheet. And that one again is we're getting a low block team something to defend, which is always the worst. There was a flashpoint, Matt, on about half an hour. Lotte Wubben-Moy, if you recall, there was a Bristol player running through on the counter. She got caught in a Wubben-Moy Cadena sandwich. Lotte got booked. Lucky, not a red, or was that the right call for you?
It's difficult, isn't it, when you're running back on your own goal and there's either you've got 2 or 3 options. You try and delay so that the midfielder able to recover and make sure that everyone's back in position, or you make the challenge and go, right, we regroup. So in fairness, it's a risk whatever you do. If you decide, right, I'm taking this player down, we'll regroup, reset ourselves up for the free kick and go again. It is a risk, and for some people, yes, I can see that they can turn around and say that's definitely a red. Why didn't they give that as a red, etc. There has been calls for VAR from certain journalists and reporters. I won't mention names, but let's just. Well, there's suggestions, not obviously. There's been calls for it.
I'm gonna have to put my 50p piece worth in this. I'm really sorry, but our referees aren't fully qualified.
Yes,
how do you expect them to operate VAR?
Exactly. I say the money that you could throw at VAR, throw at training, invest in training.
Spend it on the referees, pay them properly, make them full time, and then maybe at some point when the game grows a lot bigger and you're using men's stadiums on a regular basis, then consider VAR. Because for me, the smaller clubs, no offence, Bristol, can't afford it. Let's be honest.
No.
Whereas you look at Man City, Arsenal, Man United, potentially West Ham if they ever get to play in their men's stadium, Chelsea, and Aston Villa, for example, they're all backed and funded by their top flight men's teams. They will have access to that. Other teams who are down the leagues below will not. So and that's the main big factor. It's all very well calling for this, calling for that, but you've got to look at the bigger picture.
I would be happy at the moment just to implement goal line technology. Sorry, Adam.
Yeah, no, 100%. Yeah. Go on technology is the one I'd have. I'm a fan of. I know I'm an outlier.
It works in the Champions League.
Yeah.
So when it's used, let's not forget the Bayern game.
Yeah, and also when it was used, and also VAR also works Champions League, except when they're checking if a player is offside. In the Lyon game,
I find that the European refs are much better than the English ones.
Yeah, apart from the one that refereed the Bayern game, who was absolutely
well, you've got to have one shocking, at least one ref that's shocking.
Yeah,
not have the whole sort of group of them, so to speak.
Yeah, there's always one.
That is a debate for a lot of people.
Yeah, in every group of referees, there's always a Mike Dean somewhere in one of them. I always found with the, I know I'm an outlier here, but I've always liked the concept of VAR because I've watched it video used in rugby and watched it used very well. The problem is that we have fully professional referees who can't use a system properly in the Premier League. So if you think the fully professional referees can't use VAR properly, imagine how the semi-professional, unprofessional, what we call amateur referees in the WSL are going to use it. No, just no.
No, thank you.
No, thank you. Let's get the rest professional first, and then we'll move on. And so, speaking of which, we shall move on to the second half. I think we can agree we stepped it up a bit in the second half. There was a farcical moment when Palova had a shot, keeper saved it. McCabe had a tap in, and I don't know how, but fair play to the Bristol City defence coach. One of the players blocks it. I don't know how. I mean, Lottie must have been sort of fit. I don't know what it's like in the Tollington, but there must have been sort of many heads in hands in the.
Yeah, from who was there, we were like sort of, I wouldn't say gobsmacked, confounded. I think they're the right words. It's just you weren't expecting that body just to appear. You think, oh, nice easy tap in, chill out. No.
Second goal. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, and then because with me, once I've got a 2-goal cushion, I can relax a bit because I can rely on the girls not to mess it up like the men do. Like the men don't make me comfortable, the girls make me comfortable. But I can say that it's a very different story for the start of this season, though. I will say that. But normally, you're like you've got 2 goals in the net, you're comfortable with the team and the way it is, and you want another goal. If it comes, hooray! If not, just don't lose that lead. But yeah, no, just unbelievable defending.
Yeah, fair play to Bristol, and it was bodies on the line, and obviously they had a point to protect. It would have been their first point of the season, which would have been big for them.
Yeah, and they're still looking as well, which is quite.
And
it's actually quite upsetting because obviously they've scored in their games, but they just haven't got anything out of it, sadly.
And if they had got a point, it would take them off the bottom because Villa had, of course, lost again. This time to away at Spurs, which was a bit of a shock, to be fair.
Yeah, we're going to have to watch them this year.
Yeah, my hot take is freezing rapidly. But for Arsenal, 5 minutes later, we got the second goal. We got the lead back, and it was like an action replay of the first goal. Corner comes in, headed clear. This time it's in the box. McCabe, one touch, right-footed this time with a change of pace there. And Matt, it was boom, wasn't it? Back of the net. Could the keeper have done better? It looked like, and I know you mentioned about broken wrists if you were trying to defend it, but it did seem to sort of go through her hands.
Well, that's the thing as well, is that we know Katie can strike a ball. So bearing in mind, I wouldn't work out the maths, but I imagine Katie can hit that ball pretty hard and pretty quickly. I would imagine it'd be up there as maybe near in the 100 miles per hour sort of thing.
Even on her weaker foot?
Even on a weaker foot, I'd imagine she'll be working on it because that's what a lot of the top clubs do. They'll be working on their weaker foots as well. So that if like Lottie's cross to, sorry, not Lottie, Lotta's cross.
I'm enjoying this because even in the pub, this is happening when we sit in there and they go, one of you two go, Lotta, and I go, what? And I'll still respond. This is great.
Lotta Weavermoy put in a weak weak-footed cross for Jem Beattie to score against Wolfsburg. So imagine being able to have a directly decent cross for you to be put in like that from on your weaker foot. Any of those players could probably do that with a shot. I wouldn't be surprised if they're working on it week in, week out.
Yeah,
even if it's not.
The thing is, it's like, for me, it reminds me of another epic moment from the Arsenal men's. I mean, that night in Turkey, Aaron Ramsey off his weak foot.
In off the post.
Yeah.
Oh well, that is a trip down memory lane.
Yeah, no, it is, and to be in that crowd that night is just something I'll never forget.
Wait, you were in Turkey?
Yeah, I was in the home end though. It was a nightmare. I couldn't celebrate it.
Wow.
To be in the Galatasaray home end is it's an experience. If you're ever travelling and you can get hold of a Galatasaray
Fenerbahce.
ticket, I recommend going.
Oh,
They've
sorry,
got a very good team at the moment.
Which was this the? Hang on, this was the fall one? This is the one with the Lucas Podolski. I was thinking of the Fenerbahce one. Oh, right. So this is the one with the worldy volley when he takes it for. Oh
Yep.
my days! Yeah, that was.
Yeah. To the restraint it took for me to behave myself, not to celebrate that goal, nearly killed me. Mostly because where I was sitting, I was very, very close to their hooligans, so I couldn't risk it. But it was, it almost killed me. But yeah, the way that the game's growing, especially with the women, Katie McCabe's a prime example that you need to be able to play everywhere, basically.
Yeah.
And I want to know who can play in goal at this point, because if that red card ever comes, and we need someone to step in like Olivier Giroud did, who is it going to be?
I don't know. I
would think you would make a good keeper out of the current selection.
Well, I'll go for
I'm going to go to the goalkeepers union first.
You're going your goalkeepers union. Well, I'm pretty sure Casey actually used to play Gaelic football. The only problem is her height. So then you're looking at someone like Viv to probably go in the sticks, or maybe Stina.
Stina was my call because of the size.
Do you know what? I quite fancy Caitlin Ford between the sticks. I think that could be interesting.
No, my worry for her should be keep on going down to the left, so she'll keep on passing it to Steph and then expect to keep bombing further forward.
You're so harsh on Caitlin. I knew you were going to say that.
I know.
Every time I cast the line out, and it's just like
nibbles. Indeed. Just a quick one between the pair of you.
I knew you were going to say that, Matt.
But now,
on
kids.
The audio, Matt is trying really hard not to laugh at me right now because he knows I'm right.
I feel like a supply teacher that's lost control of his pupils. The pair of you behave. Lottie, I'm going to come to you this one. McCabe goal, 1 or 2. Which one was your favourite?
Can't I just say both bangers?
It's easy. Fine, Matt. Are you able to get off the fence?
Well, I think it takes a lot of composure to be able to set yourself up and then strike it like Katie did for the second. I know the first one was given as goal of the month contender in the WSL, but for me the second one, just because she had that composure to bring it down and then hit it, and I think that was for me that one was the favorite. But to be honest, I just have a feeling that maybe that Kate's a little bit lucky this season.
My only fear is that's now, I think we can say 3, maybe 4 worldies we've needed already this season to get points.
How many worldies is she going to score this season? We've only just started.
I know. Well, if you treat her near post thumper against Villa, that's 3 worldies plus Lacass's worldie against Man United, and then 5 if you include the Russo shot against Paris and you just think it's unsustainable to rely on low XG efforts like that. So I do hope
I know that, but it's also how long can we keep this up? We need someone to just become a tap-in merchant at this point. If we're going to keep walking in, we need a tap-in merchant.
This isn't the only thing though. It's that we've got players coming back. I know you'll probably can't mention that now.
Well, it might come up later on in the chat, Matt.
But essentially, we've had 2 of our best players scoring a third of our goals each season, and we've had to try to adapt without them for nearing on 11 months, and now they're coming back. So only now finding out, oh, by the way, we can score bangers outside the box, is a bit too little too late, to be honest. And at least I think as soon as these players come back fully 100% fit, we're going to be so unpredictable in attacking waves. It 1 week it could be a banger, the next week it could be a header, the next week it might be a pass and the Beth Mead someone feeds Beth Mead and Beth Mead shoots from the just inside the area to get her goal, which she usually gets.
Well, speaking of players coming back, you've provided me the perfect segue, Matt, because only a few minutes later, 6-7 minutes, Mead and Liotta Mornham both entered the fray for Lai Kadina and Victoria Palova, which created a bit of a formation change. McCabe moved to a more familiar left-back position. Catley moved to her left centre-back to partner with Amoy in a sort of partnership we saw quite a lot at the beginning of last season when Haffa was injured and Leah. Haffa and Leah were both injured at the time, weren't they, actually, that time? So, yes, Kadina, just a quick thought, maybe Lottie, how do you think she fared on her start? A good performance or room for improvement?
Do you know what? She looked okay. From the minutes I've seen, she's looked all right. I'll be honest with you, in the World Cup, after her backwards goal in her own net, it was a bit of a howler. So I've been very unsure of her, but she looks good so far. I saw her kind of slip out from the Emirates at full time. Matt was in the shop and I texted him and I went, "Leah, Kadina's just walked past me." And she snuck straight past in her Stella McCartney tracksuit. But yeah, no. Back to the game. Yeah, no, I think she's doing all right. I want to see a bit more of her and seeing her. Maybe I want to see her over a full 90 minutes. But I know I'm not going to get that because the rotation at the moment is fairly heavy and we're not really used to. Especially if you're a fantasy football player. Unless you're a core person like Katie McCabe or Zinsberger, Kimmy or Leah Volti, you're guaranteed to be rotated or shuffled around at this point. And we've been crying out for that for a long time, but now I feel like we're complaining about it because we're not seeing our consistent favourites.
What we're seeing is we like players rotated, but only certain players rotated, if that makes sense. There are certain players we don't want rotated, but then we complain when they get injured for not being rotated. So it's like, hang on, you can't have it both ways.
It's a double-edged sword, isn't it?
I remember last season there was a lot of criticism of Arsenal for the lack of depth in their squad, especially as the injuries piled up. And then I was watching the Sky Sports punditry talking about the game, and they're like, "Oh, Jonas got a real problem with his hands. He's got all these players. How is he going to keep them all happy?" And thinking, this is what he wanted. This isn't like a surprise. It's like, oh, I've suddenly got too many amazing players. That's exactly what we wanted because last season we didn't have enough players to put a team together. That was the main problem. That's what held us back. So you can't, again, double it all, but you can't have it both ways. You can't. I've always find it bizarre that people come and attack Arsenal for not having the players and then attack Arsenal for having too many players as though there's some sort of happy medium. I'm sorry, you can't run on a happy medium because you get injuries and then you end up not having enough players, as we found out last season. I think there is a lot of truth, but we don't. I mean, I'm happy to see players rotate, and I think this is one of the reasons why we haven't seen Chloe Lacasse play. I think the reason we haven't played Chloe Lacasse play is because Jonas wants to play McCabe, and rightly so, but he also wants to integrate new centre backs because the only way he's going to be able to get. If he puts Katie McCabe at left back, then he loses Catley. So if you want to play Catley, then you lose the opportunity to integrate Amanda or Lai Kadina. And that's why I think we're seeing McCabe shunted out on the right wing because the defence is a bit risky at the moment, what with Leah Williamson being out. So when the subs came on, it was Mead to right wing, McCabe back to left back. And I felt the team was in a better state then than it was at kickoff. Matt, Mead is back again. That got a bit longer this time around. Wasn't just a few added minutes at the end of Aston Villa. She got a proper run around. What do you think? Do you think she's getting close to her pre-ACL form?
I think it's going to
take a bit longer.
Oh, sorry. I think it's going to take a little bit of time. This is where I know you're talking about squad rotation. This is where the Conti Cup games are going to be crucial because then it offers the opportunity for. I know, Lottie, you've been saying that I've been banging on about Caitlin Ford, but if you think about it, Caitlin Ford has been playing consistently the 90 minutes plus, and this is now the third or fourth time we've had plus 10 minutes of injury time. So then it all adds up, and then Caitlin's also playing for Australia at the moment. Though I think she was on the bench today. But it all adds up, and it's all things that needs to make sure that it doesn't happen, because if that happens, then it means other players are going to have to come into that position. Who does it mean? Beth can play goes left. Does it mean that Chloe goes right, or does it mean Chloe goes left in that situation? So we've just got to find that balance, and I think the Conti Cup group stage is going to be key for finding that balance, and it's going to be helpful to get that cohesion really together, especially as I mentioned in the defence and midfield, just to make sure that when we're defending, when we make those mistakes like the Rachel Furness goal, the although I still haven't seen it, the Maz Pacheco goal even, or even the Liverpool goal, they don't happen as often as they do come January, February, March, towards the end of the season. But at the moment, Beth, it's still not there. It's gonna. I just think it's gonna happen with time.
There were two efforts. I think Beth had. There was a header that I really think if Beth's on form, she buries it, but she sort of skews it wide. And then there was a cross from. I mean, there was so many crosses in this game, as there always are, but this was actually quite a clever one. I think it was from Ford, deep to back post. Moritz knocks it back, and Mead stretching for it, doesn't quite get a strong enough connection to it. It's an easy take. So we did have an element of frustration that we never got that third goal, which I would have liked, because a 2-goal cushion is a very comfy cushion. But the big news, I think, that trumped everything else in the game, the McCabe goals, the result, the big news was in 96 minutes. And I was surprised, because I didn't think it was going to happen this soon. I thought it was going to be after the international break. Vivian Miedemar returns to a football pitch. Lottie, this is like Christmas come early, isn't it? It's finally happened. She's finally kicking a football for us again.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. I mean, she walked on. I mean, in the pub we were singing we kind of pinched Sabrina's song, and then we turned it into Miedemar. It was electric. Although there was very few of us in there, you could just feel it, the excitement from the small group that we were with, and it was just like, yes, she's back. Would have loved to have been on the ground when that happened, but it's, how do I put it? It's like the Holy Grail coming home, and she's back. We're excited. Even talking about it, I'm getting goosebumps. Like she's back. She's up and running. She might not be full pelt, but this is just beginning.
It is just the beginning. We didn't have to wait long to see her influence on the game. A majestic pass straight through the entire Bristol defence. Mead runs onto it. Keeper gets a block in. Ford's there for a tap in. Again, another miraculous Bristol City block. I mean, we've been talking a lot about Arsenal here, but I think shout out to Bristol. I thought they defended so well as a team. So well as a team. They had one chance. They were so ruthless in the final third and defended so well in numbers, blocks, shots. We haven't even mentioned Russo. Russo had one chance in the entire game. She was there for, Viv came on for Russo about a few minutes to go, but Russo was in that game. And I think there was a lot of selfless running, but in terms of the chances which she had one opportunity. It was a brief snapshot. It went wide. They were able to keep her quiet, but which is, pretty good job there. But it only finished 2-1. I say only finished 2-1. It finished 2-1. Not the goal fest maybe we hoped, but it was 3 points, which keeps us just 3 points off the top. Against leaders Man City, who we play next. But it won't be this weekend, because we are at the interlull. The handbrake is on. The WSL season is on pause. It feels like it's only just started, but again, we are hitting pause for an international break. So 4 games in, a defeat, a draw, but 2 wins back to back just as we go in. Matt, season thoughts so far?
I think you have to take everything with a grain of salt. A lot of players have come in. Again, the cohesion's not there. I think the biggest disappointment is going to be the Champions League qualifiers. I think they're going to have to look at that in the future and just not. There's no way that you can be 100% ready to take on your opposition if you just come back from a World Cup on the other side of the world. They need to make sure that they adjust for that. But that enough from UEFA and anything like that. But I think there's a lot more room for improvement, and I'm just hoping that builds the confidence a little bit, and that we can start to look and go, right, okay, that's not as much as a problem. I didn't expect I didn't expect a lot of what the opposition to be a lot more up for it. I knew Bristol was going to be a difficult game no matter what, because new team, you want to try and get points on the board as quickly as possible and try and get yourself away from that danger zone of being relegated. But if I'm honest, I think if you look at some of the teams that we have played, and you kind of wonder how we not won, or how have we done this, how we've done that, it all goes back to the cohesion. And if I had to give like a number from 1 to 10, 10 being the best, I would probably give it a 7, because it's room for improvement. They've done really well to be able to get goals out of some of these games, but to not score in that opening game, I think kind of affected us a lot. And to be able to go away to the worst ground in the country by a country mile, and get 2 goals lead as well, and then claw one back right at the end. It just shows again that characteristics from last season, where it happened at Meadow Park and oddly enough against Man City. And I think they're still kind of licking their wounds, but it'll be an intriguing game when that comes around. But hopefully lessons have been learned from the defensive side.
I mean, if we look at our season so far, I mean, if you change that Liverpool loss to a win, it's actually a really good start. This is the mad thing behind the WSL, and one defeat, and it's almost twice as deadly than a Premier League defeat, because there simply aren't the games to claw it back. And I do look at the result and just think if we could have got that game right, we'd have gone, yeah, we've done all right. But as it is, we are playing catch up. We are not in the higher order yet. The likes of Spurs, the likes of Man City, the likes of Chelsea, they are ahead of us in the table, and we've got to chase them down. Lottie, are you hopeful for that post interlull? This team's going to kick on and maybe make up the deficit?
Well, hopefully everyone comes back in one piece for a start. Touch wood. But when you look at the games on paper, I expected at least 9 points from the 12. But to get 7 with the lack of holiday these girls have had, I think is it's good. As Matt said, it's the cohesion that's the problem. We've lost Leah Williamson. We've lost my little starlet in Rafaeli, who keeps posting about Arsenal on Instagram. And I've messaged her to come home, because it's now getting on my nerves, unfortunately. And it's just really difficult, because it's just our centre backs are missing. Like Lottie and Jen, love them to bits, but they are tail ends of games to fill in. They can't be playing 90 minutes. It's a bit like when we talk about Mary Earps. She always has that one howler in them, and I think with those two, they do have those howler moments.
Yeah.
And it takes me back to that final against Chelsea, just after post-COVID.
Don't.
And I've got trauma from that game, and I kind of have that in the back of my mind every time they start together, or one of them starts, and I'm like, please be good today.
Same.
So it's cohesion, and well, we don't have the time, but they need to kind of pull their socks up and just kind of start communicating as a team, and somehow just pull everything together and keep moving.
I mean, the positives is Matt's mentioned earlier that we've got the Conti Cup games. We've got more games in circulation where we can rotate around and get these players like Chloe Lacasse, like Amanda Lested, like Adina, Kyra Cooney-Cross. I think maybe the reason there's been people saying, "Oh, we should play Kyra Cooney-Cross in this game." And I think the reason why Jonas has been reluctant to maybe play his new players is because he's in a situation where it's like I'm not in a position where I don't want to say babysit. I need to play what I know. Yeah,
it's like a new puzzle you've never done before, and he's got to work out which part fits where best.
Absolutely.
So it's just finding a combination that works, and then finding that second plan B and plan C that works, and then go from there. It's a bit like one of our plans last season was put Gen B at top, and it worked. It doesn't work anymore. We now need to find something else.
No, it doesn't.
The only other thing at the moment is there are some players that in that squad that don't have any appearances so far in the squad at all. So hopefully they get minutes as well.
Yeah, hopefully they do. I was just saying, I think they, I think there is an element of Jonas sort of playing safe and playing what he knows rather than risking some of the players. I think that's why we're seeing like Lacasse come on late in games. That's why we're seeing
in the WSL. That's the problem. You can't,
exactly,
and you know this. I mean,
absolutely.
My hot take of the season on Aston Villa is going very fast down the toilet. It's dead and it's buried 6 foot under. Yeah. They've got no points. You look at that team and you think, hang on, where's the team that we saw last season?
Kenza Darley's out. So
yeah, I know, and I did bump into her. She's getting there. Lovely person, absolutely lovely person.
I should say I'm fuming with Aston. I'm fuming with Aston Villa's demise because I put Daphne von Domselaar. I put all my chips on her being this great goalkeeper, and she's chucked 4 goals in against Spurs. So I'm not happy there at all.
She's had fucking saves though. That's not fair.
No,
and she's
that is
a really nice person as well. I've had a brief conversation with her as well.
He was fantastic in that Villa game, though.
You're mingling with all these players, Lottie. I mean, you are.
Yeah, well, yeah.
You see, you got mad connections with the peaks behind the curtains, clearly. So yes, interlull. The WSL's on pause. The interlull is on. England are playing as we record tonight. So hopefully, when you listen to this, it's been a good night for England. Double header against Belgium. And then, yes, well, after that, it is Arsenal, Man City and Meadow Park. And there's obviously the Conti Cup tie against Bristol City. So we are due for a replay in a few weeks' time, midweek at Meadow Park under the lights. I'm going to be there. Lottie's going to be there as well. It should be a good game. Just said tickets have just gone on sale for our Southampton game away at St Mary's, which I'm going to because I'm finally going to an Arsenal away game. I'm very much looking forward to that. Matt, I believe you are going to try and see if you can get there because you have a bit of a personal connection with Southampton, if you recall.
Yes, I do, and it's sort of like a little homecoming for me. I spent good 3 years living there and really did enjoy it. I didn't want to leave, basically. Let's leave it at that. But yeah, it would be nice to go back and.
Don't tell me a boy from the north is willing to trade homes for the south. No.
Have you heard my accent? I'm nowhere near a northerner.
I know, but you live in the north. That's my point.
Yeah, I'd rather be living in Southampton than where I am right now, just from the access alone.
We need to get you living in London, so you're just a few steps away from Meadow Park and a few steps away from the Emirates, and then we can have you at games every.
Are you hinting for him to move into my loft?
Well, if you've got a loft.
I do, but I haven't been up there, so it's not been open for 4 years. So good luck.
Before a few more things to wrap up with. BBC are running the Women's Football of the Year. Nominations are Sam Kerr, Bon Mati, Pop. I would have thought Jen Beattie would have beaten her to that award, and then Rolfo, and of course the Queen of Stops herself, Mary Earps, is up there. She actually did an interview recently speaking about the fan-player interaction, which has become a bit of a hot topic at the moment. You may remember in the previous interlull, England fans were demanded that they leave the bus by so-called fans, in inverted commas. And there was a recent claim by someone on Instagram claiming that Mary Earps actually snubbed some of the fans at a post-match gathering, signing signatures. And she released this as an interview. She said, we love meeting fans, but it's becoming really difficult to maintain. The accessibility that people get to us as players is something that I think is a hot topic of discussion. It's something that we as players are experiencing in a very different way. With the profile of the game changing at times, it's becoming really difficult to keep everybody happy and to interact with as many people as possible. We're obviously so grateful that thousands and thousands of people want to meet us and come and talk to us. But the reality of it is, if that's the expectation, we're always going to fall short. I think the emphasis on it needs to switch now. We love that we can be so connected, but equally we are subject to a lot of comments and unnecessary criticism at times. It's just an addition to the game that we don't need. Matt, is it time to end post-match meetups with WSL players?
Well, I'm going to use Man City as an example because they've changed a lot of what the player meetups and things like that. So essentially, stewards or match day going staff can hand out like little wrist bracelets to kids or whoever, and you can go and meet the players after the match. They say that you're supposed to be there 10 minutes before, but the one people that has done this, she got there like after the whistle as soon as the whistle had blown, and within about 10 minutes the players were out. They met 4 players: Mary Fowler, Angadal, there was 2 others. Forgive me, I can't remember their names.
You've probably forgotten them because he didn't play them, and that's probably why they've been erased from memory.
Yeah, but essentially, it's a good idea because you get a photo, you get like a little photograph, like in the at the Emirates, you have like the photos of the players.
Yeah,
of like a photo card. Essentially, they come along and they just sign one of them, and if you want a photo, you can get a photo, which is a good idea. I'd like to see something like that implemented. You wouldn't be able to do that at the Emirates because it'd be too big. At Meadow Park, it would probably work a lot better. I think it's things like that. I also look at Everton as well. Everton didn't do it this season because of the World Cup, but I expect at one point they'll do like a training day at like Goodison Park where you can meet the players, or they'll do it at one of the club shops and you can get things signed there and then get photos with the players. They might do it for the Merseyside derby, which is what they did last time. It's just things like that where it might have to be a case of the marketing team and the HR and the PR managers all sit down and go, look, this is a problem. It's becoming a problem. There are other problems as well, like the signage and things like that.
Well, that's another podcast altogether.
It sort of all comes under the same brackets, isn't it? Because everyone's asking, "Oh, can I have a shirt?" Well, spoiler alert: they don't have the money to have. They have to keep those shirts. They don't have an endless supply like the men's. But there are potential solutions for the clubs to look at. It's just a bit of a shame, really, that it seems to be fan entitlement now. It's probably gotten worse over the last 2 seasons, especially because of the Euros. But then I look at when I came back from lockdown, being able to get photos with some of the players post-match. I was able, especially at Wharton Hall Park, where Everton play, managing to get photos with the likes of Anna Patterson, and Gio as well.
And Jordan.
Yes, Jordan as well. Leah. There's so many that I'll probably lose count, but it's just great that there's that opportunity. But the problem is people are going to see that and become jealous, and it will become toxic. It will almost become.
I don't think it's become. I think it's becoming toxic. I think it's already happened. I think we are already there. I just think we're just not willing to admit it, that it's becoming.
Hasn't someone posted that they've got like bruises and bumps from like people charging towards the front, towards the end of the games as well?
I've seen comments about your favourite stadium, LSV, and about the full time the way that the fans will rush to the.
Honest with, no, they do. And to be honest, one of our club photographers just does regular photos for us on match day. She almost dropped her camera from being barged out the way by fans and their children. It's mental. That was one of the. I think it's just crazy.
That also means that you need to have fit for stadiums. So I do look at a Wharton Hall Park because it is a small venue. It's all right when you're playing the likes of Bristol and I'm trying to think of other teams sort of
Spurs.
Tottenham, yeah. Where you'll have smaller crowds because there isn't the lioness factor. As soon as you have a lioness factor, the Arsenals, the Uniteds, the Chelseas, or City, that's when it becomes a problem.
Yeah.
So it means that you have to make sure that you are prepared for everything. And
I've got to be
unfortunately,
honest with you there. There is the lioness factor, but the only club that sells on the lioness factor is Man United. We sell on as a whole, as a team as a whole. We've got internationals. We've got a World Cup winner. We sell on our whole team, not just
but think of it at the
our
moment.
lionesses. Yes, they're key to it, but we're not advertising purely on Russo, purely on Beth Mead, purely on Lotte Wubben-Moy.
Yeah, I know that
we're not doing that.
I know
Whereas you
there's
look at last season, Man United's, come see our lionesses, Mary Earps, Ella Toon, and Russo.
I know there's
That's
complaint by
what it was
some
all about. If you look through their advertising, it's all them three. It's no one else.
there was complaint by some of the Man United fans that people were only going to the game for the Lionesses. Though it was sort of they weren't going there to be a Man United fan. They were there because I want to see the Lionesses. I want to get a photo with them. And I don't like this idea that you're going to football matches for photos with these. I know they're role models, and I know I get that, but this for me, the game is turning into a circus, and it's moving.
It takes away proper fans who actually want to go and watch them play football. It takes that away from
especially Meadow Park selling out like every game, and if they go there and it's like, oh no, they weren't into the game, they were just waiting for 85 minutes so they can get into a good position to get some free boots and a sign and a picture, and I just think that's not what football's about. This is the question I'm going to ask you, Lottie. Does women's football even need this? Does it need this notion of 30 minutes at full time, go around and get your program signed, the picture taken with the players? Do we even need it for the WSL to grow?
Yes and no, because if the want is there, then fair enough. But it's not really needed right now because they get an X amount of time with us, and you've got to wait your turn at Meadow Park, which I'm happy to do. Don't get me wrong, but the stewards have been there since 5 o'clock, and you're standing there at 10:30 at night. They want to go home. The staff want to go home. Players want to go home, and it's a case of respecting that. I mean, if someone doesn't get you, they don't get you. There's always the next game. It's a bit like, I think last season I was missed by Caitlin Ford, and she came back. I came back another week to me and apologised. Do you know what I mean? It's not a major thing for me. No. Like if I get a picture, I mean, I got really lucky last season. I got a picture with Jordan Nobbs, and once that was done, I was with my friend and his daughter. His daughter was about 7 or 8 at the time, 7 at the time. So she's tiny. We'd had our picture with Jordan, and all of a sudden these kids were completely on us, shoved us out the way. I've lost one of my friends who is disabled. I've lost him in that crowd. I've grabbed the 7-year-old and pulled her out of there. Like, I had to, once I got her back to dad, I had to go and find my disabled friend and get him out of that situation because it isn't safe.
No.
And I get it's a bunch of teenagers, but you need to calm down. And your parents have allowed you out to behave like adults.
And the stewards get villainized. I've seen the stewards like trying to encourage people them to stand away from the fence, and they just get booed and jeered from the stands. But
they're there to keep you safe. They're not there to give you headache, unless you're in the clock end and the whole stand is standing up and they're telling you to sit down. Nah.
Thing is, I'm a cold-hearted sort of heartless individual, and I don't care. Like for me, I don't go to football to get pictures with footballers.
That doesn't make you heartless.
No, but I'm saying it's like tongue in cheek, but that's my preference.
I know that. So it's a preference.
And so, like for me, if it went away, I wouldn't blink, and it wouldn't mean anything to me. But I know this means a lot to so many people, and that's why I'm trying to sort of temper myself and thinking,
it's going to have to stop at some point, unfortunately.
It will.
So people are going to do it while they can.
This is why I think it's important that they do make sure that they have other alternatives. They don't have to be a meet and greet at games afterwards.
Yeah.
There needs to be some other ways. I bet that Leah's just got a new book out, hasn't she? For kids.
Oh,
and
the amount of people trying to get
that loads of people were trying to get, and it would be adults, and it won't be any children. Yeah. And that's a bit heartbreaking. because you've just thought out of your, but you don't want to be taking photos. She doesn't want to be taking photos with adult fans.
I've heard talks about trying to find children that they could use as like an excuse to get it. The problem is this is the problem with fame, and the women's football has not ever been built on. We've wanted attention, but it's never had attention. So the people that got the signatures were sort of the exclusive few, and it was a reward for being one of the few coming to attend, and you was like you're part of an exclusive club. Well, that's gone. We've gone mainstream. So I think, Matt, you're absolutely right. I think there's something that clubs, it's not just Arsenal, but all clubs have to have controlled measures in place. They need to take this process that seems that is still a core part of women's football, but they need to implement it change it so it's in a controlled way, and it's not just a free for all at half time, or full time rather. Sorry, not half time. That'd be even worse. They say, right, okay, those of you who have drawn the lucky number in the program, stay behind, go to the club box, whatever it is, and you'll meet one of the players and get a photo with her, and it's just potluck. Like those of you see my social media, I was very lucky. I got the chance to meet Goldie in the box. Got a picture of her. She's obviously recovering from her ACL. Fingers crossed for her. And that was nice. And it was just you got their picture, sign your picture, take a selfie, move on. That's all it needs to be. But none of this sign nonsense, asking for clothes, asking for boots, and things like that. I think
signs need to be banned. I actually shouted at someone to put a sign down in the Emirates, because it was literally blocking the older couple behind them. They couldn't see anything, and I screamed it. It turned around and they went, "What?" And I went, "Put it down, because there's people behind you that can't see." All fair and well, you want to have this sign to get whatever you want at the end, but don't do it during the game.
If you're going to make a sign, at least make it.
I will personally rip up any sign if I see that at Meadow Park.
If you're going to make a sign, at least do something fun with it. Don't ask the things, but make a funny chant, or if you mention a chant, make a joke about the opposition. But
I think we had signs of Kaelin wants a zebra, and we had images of zebras up in the Emirates at last season. At one point, there was someone in my stand with a zebra on a bit of card.
Well, that's because of the alphabet joke they did, that which is
still
brilliant.
When stuff like that you want to see. You don't want to see, oh, can I have your shirt? And you're getting your child to hold it. Like, what's the child going to do with a used football shirt?
Sadly, I don't think anything's going to happen until something very bad happens, because despite that's what will be in the end. Something bad will happen post match of the game, and we're all going to look at ourselves and think, oh dear, we've gone too far here. And then that's the boat where the parents say, right, I'm taking the PlayStation and I'm sticking it in the loft for the summer, and you can't play it because you can't be trusted, and that's gas it, game over, and we'll lose that forever.
I know this is a bit extreme, but if you're talking about like people actually being physically crushed, almost like a I don't want to, like, there have been so many disasters in the past because of that.
Yeah.
If that's what it takes for people to learn their lessons, then so be it. But I don't advocate that. But we've seen that in the past, that certain disasters have then helped legislation that has meant now that everyone has to have seating. Everyone has to make sure that they're
but it shouldn't. I agree that legislation can happen. It shouldn't take a tragedy for that to happen.
Exactly.
And I fear that. No, I'm not saying it's going to be fatal, but I'm saying something terrible will happen, and that's when we get get our permission slips withdrawn, our toys taken away from us, and we have to go and just sit and watch the players, and the players get in the tunnel, and then that is it, and we don't get anything at all. And I think there is an entitlement. I think there is a spoilt brat entitlement that is brewed because people believe that because they've had it before, they can continue to have it. And as the audience has grown and grown exponentially, it's just spiraled out of control. So hopefully at some point clubs can get a lid on it or put a process in place, like Matt was saying, wristbands or some kind of controlled measure where we can still have that link, even if it is in a slightly reduced but safer method. Bit of a downer to end the pod on, but that is sadly all the time we have for this particular episode. With Arsenal are back next weekend, Sunday at Meadow Park. First Meadow Park game of the season. I can't believe it's going to be late. Is it late October? No, early November. So in November, a whole month in the season, and now we're playing at Meadow Park. We're really coming home now, which is good to see. And yes, Man City is going to be a toughie. Gamer sold out. I think we're going to get a very high attendance. We've got 4,000 for the Aston Villa game, so hopefully we can get something similar this time around.
Surely you should if it's sold out.
Well, we should. Yeah, we've had sellouts, and then like you get 3,900. So there are sellouts and there are sellouts, but hopefully we get the the tickets. All the tickets get used up. The season tickets get used up. The North Bank is rocking, because when it is rocking, it is something special, and hopefully we can get 3 massive points because of a win against Man City. We go level with them, and that would proper kickstart our season, and I think that we would all
all
do
I've
with
got
that.
to say on that subject is get Sabrina in the goal to keep Bunny Shaw quiet.
Well, I would say Sabrina's had 2 games against Man City, and she's played rather well in both of them. So we'll see how we do. I still that
Let's go for the hat trick.
Well, yeah, you obviously think of the Conti Cup tie. I think of our WSL tie that first half when she kept us in at 1-0 down. So let's hope.
I was thinking of both, but okay.
Well,
I was still advocating that actually that in that away game last season that I thought Sabrina would have been better in goal.
Well, I also say that away game last season, I tried to remove from memory, but I also think that we were so badly that no matter what keeper you put in goal, we were going to get destroyed. There was so much wrong with that setup, and Jonas has even admitted it. He said he got it wrong, and fair play to him. At least Aker tried. It was just we got it wrong, and hopefully in the new year when we go back there, we will get it right. But that's next year. Long time to go. A week until the Arsenal return. Hopefully our players come back fit and fine from international duty. Should say on the ACL front, Beth is not with the Lionesses, so more rest and recuperation for her. But Vivian Miedema is with the Dutch. We don't know if she's going to play, but I think the school of thought is that she will train with the team and training with with the Dutch team, and team that medical know her very well. I think will do a lot of good, and maybe she'll get 5 minutes against Scotland, but we'll see. But no, much to enjoy. But until then, it is goodbye from me, and it's goodbye from my wonderful co-host. Just leaves me to say farewell from them. Lottie, where can we find you on social media?
When I decide to go back on it, you can find me at Lottie_AWFC. Not been there in a few days, ironically. I've not had the time. Yeah.
Excellent. Matt, I was going to ask where we can find you, but we can now find you in 2 places, not just one, because you've got yourself a new line, haven't you? You've got yourself a new bit of footballing journalism now. Yes.
So the Clock End, who are currently, they do a little bit of merch, but they were looking to set up a website. They're also looking to do some blogs, and I sent them a message and said I do a bit of journalism. I'm looking to get back into it. I'm looking to do some more stuff on the Arsenal women. So you can find me on the Clock End on the blogs. They're all sorting out the profiles at the moment. So if you do follow at MattLR28, you'll be able to see what some of the stuff that I've already written. There's a lot more to come. A lot. Most of them being player profiles and manager profiles at the moment, but there'll be a few things that we've touched on tonight as well to come. Excellent. Well, we look forward to seeing more of your written work as it comes out. If you want to find me, follow me, see me wind these 2 up or other rival fan bases, and occasionally live tweet football matches. If that is your thing, then you can follow me.
Occasionally, don't tell fibs.
Majority of the time, often, but more often is winding up fan bases, and occasionally throwing, standing on a soapbox and throwing my 2 pennies worth at certain issues. You can follow me at Adam Salter 4, and you can follow me on Instagram as well, where I occasionally post stories and other nonsense. But that's it. That's all the time we have. It's a farewell from us. We'll hopefully be back soon, where we'll maybe might end up picking over the England, however they did against Belgium. But we'll also be previewing the upcoming Man City game and the return of the WSL. We miss it already. We can't wait for it. But until then, take care.